Well, let's do the interactions or the discussions on big issues. Today, we will foremostly be looking at what next as far as the Professor Frimpong Boateng report that had delayed on the decks of the president for over 2 years is concerned. So we know that there's been a directive from the presidency about the opinion of the presidency on this report to the CID also to kickstart some level of investigations. But what does it mean? And then also to have a thorough investigation, would it mean that we have to take all the concerns that have been raised? Yesterday, there was a press conference that was organized by the opposition NDC. They say that they want a bipartisan probe into this. Martin Kpebu over the weekend had said that we needed a commission of inquiry on the subject. And just yesterday, we had two individuals, including the Member of Parliament for South Dine. He's also a legal practitioner, Roxy Nelson Dapamakpo, petitioning the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to look into the matter. You know, if you look at the Constitution, of course, somebody has to petition CHRAJ, and they've done that. So it will mean that onwardly, they will have to look at that subject. But we also do know that apparently there'd been an investigation, if not, a look into dealings relatedly following a petition again to CHRAJ by an individual called Arnold Agbodo over a company that Professor Frimpong Boateng himself owns that has its business objects into mining. Now, of course, this was they started working back in 2012, but, you know, the petition related to whether there were issues of conflict of interest because he was a minister of the sector and then also having that company. And CHRAJ has some interesting finding. We'll share that with you. But we have in the studio the former Member of Parliament for Tema East, a former Deputy Transport Minister, and I have Daniel Ni Kwate Titus Glover right here. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Yes. How's the work at VACO going? You're Deputy Managing Director, fresh, newly appointed.
Yes.
It's okay.
It has taken off. And I'm doing orientation currently.
Okay.
So it's doing well.
No, you're a Tama man. It's not a company you're not familiar with. So we also have Malik Basintali. He's a Deputy Communication Officer for the NDC, and he was elected. So it means he has the mandate of his delegates, as well as the mass supporters and members of the NDC. How are you?
Well, I'm struggling to understand why you added that I was elected and of course not appointed, and by so doing it means that I sit here bearing some power conferred on me by our gallant delegates, and it's my duty to keep serving my party well, diligently, and serving this nation as well, because whatever the crisis we find ourselves in today goes a long way to affect not just, the floating voter out there, but it affects NDC and it affects MPP as well. And so, being a party communicator, it's my duty to expose, speak truths, speak in honesty, and let the general public understand the crisis, the situation we find ourselves in today. Not everyone will be available to information out there. Not everyone or anyone out there has access to some very useful, information. And so it's my duty to put that across. And so I'm impressed that you added that I was elected. I had people, instill some confidence in me. People confer some level of power, some level of authority in me. And I don't intend disappointing, the entire citizenry. I will continue to.
Yesterday, the NDC convened a press conference. The NDC convened a press conference, and I don't know whether I can describe it as strange. You want a bipartisan approach on this one, and I know that the presidency has given a response to this leaked letter, of course, that had been sitting on the decks of the president for the last 2 years. And the description it gives it, I'm sure you're also very much aware, and say the CID should go ahead. So if this is under investigation, why do you want another probe?
You see, first of all, good morning to your viewers. This is not the first time we are having an investigation or corruption investigation in this country. This is not the first time we are having a report on corruption under this very regime. What baffles me and what surprises the entire citizenry is that ever since Mr. Akufo-Addo assumed office as President of the Republic of Ghana, ever since the MPP assumed office as a government in this country, there hasn't been a single time where we've had a corruption expose or a corruption report where either the president has not been mentioned, the vice president's name has not been mentioned, or the presidency has not been indicted in it. There hasn't been a single time.
What do you mean by that?
In different reports we've had, from the ANAS expose number 12,
Okay.
where Nyantechi, a president of the Ghana Football Association, confessed that he has been acting as a middleman for the president, the vice president, and the entire presidency, where $4 million given to President Akufo-Addo could just put him in your pocket, where $3 million given to Dr. Bawumia could get him nodding his head all day, and where some amounts of money is given to people could give you contracts even if you were not qualified. We've had the same Anasari Miyao Galamsey economy, where it was exposed that one Charles Edubuahe, a finance minister at the presidency, confessed that 202.5 million could be given to Bawumia in order to win you some concessions. And this was said by a government official. Right after that, I'm sure we all heard what happened to him and what have you. But he stated that this is a man who had been working with them at the presidency, and this is a man who was caught on tape saying that you only needed $2.5 million to bribe our vice president of the Republic of Ghana. From that point, you media men have also undertaken various levels of investigation. We had a colleague journalist, Erasmus Donko of Joy FM, where he went down there, he exposed Galamsey kingpins in this country. And if you remember, that particular incident, in fact, of which video I'm sure your network has, you had security personnel attacking the team that was mandated to fight illegal mining activities in this country. They were beaten, they were attacked, in fact, they were embarrassed, and they were driven away. And not a single investigation was conducted in that particular matter. From that point, I think the international bodies decided to take interest in this. The latest of it all, which yesterday got me very surprised, and I nearly shed tears because I saw pictorial evidence, I saw videos, I heard things I couldn't believe with my very own ears. We had an Al Jazeera investigation from the investigative unit, I-Unit, where they had a gold mafia by name Alistair Matthias. This man, in an interview or in a dealing with a Chinese personnel who had been used, to listen to all his dealings in this country, confessed that one, President Akufo-Addo was his very good friend, very, very close friend. They had very, very tight relationship. Two, he had won contracts in this country. And of course, we know who awards contracts in this country. Contracts that had been bloated to a tune of $20 million was won in this country. And in return, all he did was that he assured the government, he assured people of the presidency that I was going to keep $20 million down for you. Anytime you needed it, I would be willing to give it out to you. And this was how they won shady contracts in this country. He also confessed that 1 ton of gold was exported, to a tune of $40 million or so, was being exported, smuggled from this country every month. And he was behind it. And government officials, and that was where he said President Akufo-Addo was his friend, and they knew each other's dealings and what have you, was smuggled out of this country every month. After that, and Roland, particular about this because Professor Frimpong Boateng probably was a colleague minister when Mr. Titus Glover was also minister. We know what the record of this man, we know what this man has done historically. I read the report, 36th page, and if you go step by step, it appears shocking how the presidency has been muddied, how the presidency has been ridiculed, how the presidency has been lowered and tattered, and no one seems to respect whatever is happening again in this country.
Why are you borrowing your words from?
In 2019, you decided to put a ban on mining and forest reserves. The president did it. It was all everywhere. He said he has put a ban on forest reserves. 47 forests were stopped and what have you. They said excavators were being bent. They went out there and doing all sorts of things. Then today, we are finding out that that letter that was written by the president was a scam. It was meant to mislead us during that particular period.
What do you mean by
I'm going to explain that. During that particular period, the president's nephew, the president's darling boy, Gabios Asaroch-Redako, was in line with a company called C&J Alaska Company. And within that particular period, they were found mining in the Apapram Forest Reserve, where they were engaged.
Gabi says that he was offering legal practice.
I'll explain that.
Legal services.
I'll explain that.
And it's allowed.
It's the duty of the lawyer, Mr. Frimpong Boateng, stated emphatically that Gabi calling him was wrong. And I agree that it was wrong because he said he wasn't the CEO of Minerals Information Center. And if he wanted any information, he should have gone to the Minerals Commission. But other than that, the president himself issued a letter and stopped mining in forest reserves. Gabi Asaroch-Redako is the nephew of the president. If they had no hand in this particular illegal activity, he should have known head on that the company was engaged in an illegal act because the president had issued a letter stopping all mining in forest reserves. That was one. Two, Professor Frimpong Boateng has also stated that other persons at the presidency, an example is Lord Comey, an example is Captain Koda, have consistently called the anti-Galamsey task force and asked that they release excavators that were seized from illegal miners polluting our water bodies. These are people of the presidency. These are people who should respect the laws of this country. Repeatedly, they have called. And thirdly, he has also stated that when even a journalist was arrested and cited for money laundering because all Galamsey returns were being stored in his account, settlement day, we had a person like the senior minister Osafo Mafo calling and asking them to dismiss the case and that whatever activity was ongoing there should be covered and should not be exposed. And Professor Frimpong Boateng found this surprising because he felt that this was a government that had a heart for the forest reserves of this country. He thought that this was a government that was sensitive to the plights of indigents in this country, especially with regards to how our water bodies are being deteriorated. He thought that this was a president that felt the pain of people who are to struggle and even getting drinking water in this country.
Malik,
and he was
this
surprised.
is the president that says that from the outset. It must be pointed out the document being discussed was not an official document.
So what I want to ask them, and if you want to lambast this, is the last point that was raised in our presser, that Professor Frimpong Boateng had stated that the president's house in Chebi, the youth organizer for Chebi, NPP youth organizer, had engaged in Galamsey to the extent that he traced the gold, he mined and finally broke the president's wall and was mining in the president's garden in Chebi. Did you read that or you didn't read that?
I read that.
Was that hearsay? Was the president not aware of this? Professor Frimpong Boateng stated that it took the committee to visit the president's house to stop that particular boy and to plant the grass again and rebuild the wall. Are you aware that the president's house anywhere in this country is a security zone? How did they manage to break the wall of the president to the extent that they were mining for gold in the president's backyard, in his garden?
According to
they were engaging in Galamsey in his garden. It is not shocking to you.
And then their work affected the wall.
It affected, and they got into the yard, and they were mining in the president's compound. So where he probably parks his cars, they said, "Oh, park this car well," and they started mining, and they were mining there for months. And you tell me President Akufo-Addo wasn't aware of this. Other than that, after the Professor Frimpong Boateng reported even the incident to the president, did you hear what he said? He said, "I'll deal with it." When they reported the senior minister's actions to him, you hear what he said? He said, "I'll deal with it." When they reported Osafo Mafo's actions to him, you hear what he said? He said, "I'll deal with it." I'll deal with it under 3 consecutive times. Which particular instance did he deal with this particular matter? You see, Roland, we cannot.
I don't know why he sent it to the CID.
We can. Was the report?
Because in his estimation, he said the presidency says the letter didn't have an address, even though.
A letter that was given to the chief of staff didn't have an address.
That's
a letter that was repeatedly stated at cabinet. And Professor Frimpong Boateng stated that even at one of the cabinet meetings, he pointed out to people who were engaged in illegal mining on the table. And the president pretended he never heard them. You see, Roland, we cannot continuously pretend that we don't know that President Akufo-Addo himself is engaged in illegal mining in this country. We cannot continuously shell. I've given you instances. If his backyard, if his yard is being, if Galamsey activities are being conducted in his compound, and he sits a deaf ear, he sits unconsent to it, who instructed them to bypass even the security zone and then start mining in his compound? And so you see, we cannot continuously shell.
It's a conclusion you're drawing, but it doesn't mean that the president is involved in Galamsey.
I have read the report. I know what I'm saying. I can confidently say that they have a happy President Akufo-Addo has a hand in this. I can confidently say that the Vice President Dr. Bawumia has a hand in this. I can confidently say that the President's nephew Gabriel Ochorodako has a hand in this. And all these people have formed a gang. And yesterday we put a photo across. And the heading was "Know Your Galamsey Kingpins in this country." These are people who are bound on damaging the soils of this country. These are people who are bound on condemning our forest reserves. These are people who are bound on destroying all the water bodies in this country. And nobody should attempt shielding any of these people. I would say here, I would repeat it, that they don't mean well for this country. Per the report as released by President Akufo-Addo's own appointee, former minister, indicting he himself, indicting his family members, indicting his vice president, there is nothing that could be done.
A report that the same presidency says that it's not an official document. To
get to the bottom of this, we have instructed that we want to have a bipartisan probe into a letter that the president threw under his cabinet for 2 years and didn't act upon it. I mean, for 2 years he never acted on it.
Say literally.
Literally, it means that he threw it under his carpet. We are asking for a bipartisan investigation into this. I'll repeat it on any day because I know what I'm talking about. I know President Akufo-Addo. I know what he can do in this particular instance and in this particular matter. So far as our forest reserves have been destroyed, so far as our water bodies have been contaminated, I can state on authority that we will not relent until we have a bipartisan, televised approach in this particular matter. Roland, you can mark my words on any day, we'll get to the bottom of this matter.
It looks like, Mr. Titus Glover, a lot of barrage of criticism is being held at the president as well as the presidency for a lack of inaction or perhaps stakeholders who are unsatisfied about the action that has been taken since this document was leaked. And we know Kelvin Taylor started it, and subsequently it's engulfed everybody.
The opportunity, I've listened to my younger brother and his attacks and all that. But I'm confident, hopeful, that President Nando is not corrupt. You cannot corrupt him. So all the recommendations that he's sitting here and talking about will not fly.
Okay.
At least it's on record that you have a former president and vice president.
All right. Yeah, I'm told we have a difficulty with your sound. We apologize for that. So we'll play an insert and then we'll be back.
I could just make a second point.
The true story.
The true story is that at the start of the Operation Vanguard thing, the soldiers were supposed to arrest the excavators. And they go into the forest where they are doing the mining, and they remove the control board.
Okay.
So if they remove 20 control boards today, they will report that they have immobilized 20 control boards.
Once they are removed, there's no way those excavators can move. But then when you go away, they'll bring new control boards and fix them, and then off they go. So we got a report that they had immobilized over 750 something excavators. So we appointed somebody to go around and check. When we went around, I think we got about 150, 200 that we could see. The rest had either been given to the owners or they put in some extra parts and moved them away. And then somebody put it out there, from Bob Martin has taken 500. What am I going to do with it? There was an orchestrating scheme, even within the party and the government. To get you out.
So that, look, why is it that when I left, now everybody is in the forest? At that time, you dare not enter the forest. You know. But as I said, I don't want to go into details now because I have a lot to say on that. But let me tell you that I did not take one excavator for anything. and they know the truth. Now things are coming up. We know those who are behind it, and the party people who are there, people in government, including Jubilee House, who are doing Galamsey and so on, even now.
And very, very much so, an indicting interaction he had with GTV. And subsequently, this report also been leaked and now engulfing from Kevin Taylor, and everybody else has just caught on with it and scrutinizing this document. And well, we've had Malik Basintali also had his fair share of his initial comment, and now Daniel Nikwate Titles Global is having his.
Roland, I was saying that sitting here and listening to Malik.
Yeah, you like it?
And his attack on the president, His Excellency, his vice, that they are corrupted, they are involved in Galamsey. There is no evidential proof to show that the president is involving in the work of the Galamsey. And I can assure him that it's on record that you have a former vice president whose president at the time organized an investigation to be conducted by his head over an Embraer plane in Brazil. You remember? And the composition of that committee, we are told, is one Brigadier Retired General Alute, Mr. Abua, and George Amwa. So when you're talking about corruption, we need to be very careful as to how you attack people. But going forward, you know my position on Galamsey. Roland, since this story
What's your
up,
position?
and I am not in support of those who are doing Galamsey. Neither is the president also supporting those who are destroying our forests and our water bodies and all that.
So why didn't he act on the report?
Please, I'm begging you. You allow the gentleman to have his take, and he did all kinds of things that he did. So clearly, the position of bipartisan for me is not going to help. You know why?
Why not?
Because the political colorization we're not going to get. Because naturally, when they go and sit and they want to, people will begin to take sides. Do you understand? So institutions of states who have been mandated to investigate issues of this nature must be allowed to do their work. Malik started by saying that Nyantechi, when his expose came, and he's somebody who is in the frenzy mood, and he's talking, and he mentioned the president's name. So because of that, the president is corrupt. Is that what the Malik is saying? So another Galamsey with the Dubuahin and sitting in a hotel somewhere. This entrapment, you go and trap people, and you call this as investigation, and he mentioned the vice president who is sitting quietly somewhere. You cannot attack the vice president's integrity or the president's integrity when somebody is going up doing their own thing. Clearly, I don't support that, and I disagree with the position of what the NDC have going and talking about. But the president
said he used the ANAS principle.
Fine.
Today you are dissociating yourself from
Please, but sitting here, if somebody come and tell you that you are corrupt, they have given you bribe, without any evidence, any proof, then you go to bed, you run with it.
So
is that the right thing?
Say he support the
so
ANAS
this
principle?
is ANAS principle. What has been for me is an entrapment. Even the law talks about it. You cannot go and record somebody without his consent. I'm not the lawyer, but this is what the law tells us. You can't go and record somebody without his consent, and you come back and use it against him. Is that the case? But clearly, I have a problem. And the fact is that all those who are involved in the dissipation and the destruction of our forest should be dealt with. Because me, I'm a guy. Unfortunately for me, I'm not from the hinterlands. Do you understand? So anybody who has got direct in hand, look at all this that's going on. In the past, we were blaming the Chinese. But the Chinese, when they arrive in Kotoka, nobody holds their hands and direct them to the forest areas. It is our own Ghanaian people who leads them there.
And this time, Professor Frimpong, what is states key people, Lord Kome, individuals at Jubilee House. You know them, they are your friends.
I am happy we are discussing about this Galamsey thing. Because the fight for Galamsey, it is not one man's show. And Galamsey didn't start the days of the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's era. It started way back, including their time. So the question is, what did you also do? Because Galamsey was there. When Nana Addo's government was fighting Galamsey, in the 2020 election, you and your people, including my very good brother, Kokubai, you were in the forest, championing people to do Galamsey, to cause destruction to the environment and all that.
Why did they do that?
Why did? Because of votes.
Why
because
did
of
they
votes.
do that?
In the in one of the forest areas. He's all over social media. I don't know the area.
But
Either
you've seen a
Ashanti.
video?
I saw it. Where he was addressing Galamsey's. Kwakubai, you know you. Kwakubai. They were telling the people, go and do the Galamsey and go and vote for John Mama. When he comes, he will allow you to do the Galamsey.
Is that what Kwakubai?
That is exactly what it is. I'll push the video to you. Do you understand? So if you have a government in its era, Galamsey has been so topical, so serious. And for me, I love the discussion that is going on. That we all admit that Galamsey is not the best way to go.
And by
so,
than that,
please,
but that's the
we
problem.
cannot raise our hand in despair and say that because it is going on, we should run away from it.
For which his own people, they have been fingered.
Roland, I am coming. I am coming. The man is saying that, look, I will not run away. Do you know that because of this Galamsey fight, we lost most of our votes and our seats? Because we were fighting the Galamseyers. We are fighting the Galamseyers. We lost what do you call it? Takwan Swayeb. We lost Diaso, upper Dinjra West.
We didn't lose Takwan Swayeb.
No, sorry, we lost Christian New Valley. Sorry. We nearly lost Takwan Swayeb by a slim margin. But Christian New Valley, we lost that seat. Upper Dinjra West, we lost that seat. The presidential vote even dwindled. All because of the way we were chasing and fighting Galamseyers, in the way they are destroying the environment. So clearly, the president is tight because he's determined to make sure you fight this
the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the president who, at that commissioning of this whole initiative, says he's put his presidency on the line because he has all these powers, said that his hands are tight. He told you that?
Roland, if he put his presidency on the line, didn't you see that we nearly lost the election? Because of the
it cannot be through Galamsey.
So please.
It has to be maybe the government has lost favor with the people.
Go and check the record, the data, the vote in those Galamsey areas. Because of the way we are fighting the Galamsey menace. And you can tell you that our vote dwindled so drastically in those Galamsey areas.
Takwa, for example, you had an independent candidate. And so the lady affected the way the overall performance.
The lady is a Galamseyer. So she's being sponsored by those Galamseyers to come and take the seat from us.
What do you mean by the ladies?
She's involved in Galamsey. The lady was neck deep in the Galamsey.
Are you not making excuses for all the things?
I'm not making excuses. I'm saying that fighting Galamsey is not one-man business. It involves everybody. The president, his appointees, the security services, and everybody on the ground to make sure that these Galamsey menace were able to deal with the matter. If somebody has gone to involve himself, Malik is saying that Frimpong Boateng mentioned the name of some people who called to allow them to release their excavators to them. It is the work of whatever investigating body that will be established to make sure they deal with them, to see their involvement in these things. Because Frimpong Boateng will be given the opportunity to come and say whatever he has to say. This is a report that he has generated and he has given to the chief of staff. That is what he claims to say. So clearly for me, discussion, you, the media, you have done so wonderfully well to make sure
with
you
the exception
come
of
out.
the president who decided not to take the right
No,
decision.
Roland, that is not the issue. So clearly, when the matter has come, he has referred to the police CID. The president cannot investigate himself. Can he investigate the Galamseyers? So he has given to the police that, please, this is what has come to my attention. I'll be grateful if you go into it.
There are calls for a bipartisan approach. You said no. Now, there are also calls for a commission of inquiry.
Well, the commission of inquiry, I'll go for it. The police is there. The special prosecutor is equally there, that they can deal with this matter. There will be issues of criminality and whatever. If the special prosecutor, the police CID is all equally handled it, they need to speed up whatever facts and recommendation that they have, they should bring it up. We need to bring a finality to this Galamsey issues that has been discussed over here. So for me, I will not support anybody who goes to destroy the environment.
So
you understand? So everybody must have a fair hearing as to whatever is being discussed when it comes to the issue of Galamsey. You talk about Gabi Ochilidaku. I've seen the banter between Frimpong Boateng and Gabi. He accused Gabi in his report that Gabi called him to direct him what to say. And I have watched Gabi on your set when you took the videos and his audio from City. That was saying he's a lawyer. As a normal lawyer, if you are called to render a service, definitely you do some some work.
No,
so if that is what Frimpong Boateng assume or think that he's interfering, then he's unfortunate. Do you understand? So clearly, we need to be a bit patient, give everybody a good hearing, so that people can also speak when they know about the matter. I can't just get up and start accusing without giving you a fair hearing for an opportunity for you to express yourself. Other than that, we'll be accusing people forcefully. I believe that a bipartisan is not the right way to go. Either a commission of inquiry or the police CID or the special prosecutor will do it.
But there's a report that's 2 years old.
I'm surprised that, first of all, I subject myself to be investigated.
You are not in power.
No, I subject. I'm just giving a scenario.
Okay.
You have refused that you will never subject yourself to investigation. After my investigation, I was exonerated. You have still refused that you will subject yourself. Then I'm the one being called corrupt because I subjected myself.
You are relating this
to the fact that he claimed that President Mahama subjected himself to be investigated in a particular matter and was exonerated. And by so doing, President Mahama is corrupt. What kind of logic is that? But President Akufo-Addo has refused. Dr. Bawumia has refused in the Nyantechi matter. President Akufo-Addo was supposed to stand an investigation. He refused to avail himself to the CID. And on repeated cases, if he's a man, like President Mahama was a man, he should subject himself to 6-hour investigation. And you will see the kind of things that will be unraveled in this particular matter. The second point is that I would explain that Mr. Glover keeps referring to the fact that why is President? So if President Akufo-Addo's name is mentioned, does it necessarily mean he's corrupt? I've given you series of investigative pieces. Why? We have a population of 30 million. So anybody just gets up and feels that President Akufo-Addo's name is so nice. So let me keep repeating it. Why is it that they don't mention President Akufo-Addo's name in churches? Why is it that they don't mention it anytime they are speaking of good things? But anytime they speak of corruption, anytime they speak of Galamsey, his name, 1, Dr. Bawumia, 2, why? And we keep hearing it, and you think it's not worrying enough to us.
The official position of government, all these individuals are just huffing and puffing.
The third point is
they're just bluffing.
You see, when we talk of Galamsey being conducted or undertaken in President Akufo-Addo's garden, it is not just as if we wrote it on paper, so Galamsey being undertaken. A whole excavator was carried to the president's garden. A whole excavator. That is Galamsey. I just want to give a scenario. And the excavator was digging and working in the president's backyard.
And making noise.
And President Akufo-Addo says, I never saw it. I was sitting there, I was tired. I never heard an excavator in the security zone in President Akufo-Addo's garden. They broke his wall and entered, and they were digging. And you think this man knows nothing about it? Look, I've listened to Mr. Glover.
But the president doesn't live there.
But he doesn't go to Chebi. He doesn't have anybody guarding his house. I've told you that anywhere the president has a house, it's a security zone. He doesn't go there. People were living close to him at Nima, just about 100 meters. They decided to evacuate all of them and said they couldn't live there again. You remember that it was a security zone. But somebody carried a bulldozer and an excavator to your yard, and the person was digging and mining Galamsey, and you said you knew nothing about it. Look, Mr. Glover, we can decide to do all the propaganda about this particular matter, but there is no way you exonerate President Akufo-Addo or Dr. Bawumia in this particular matter. Look,
but the president directly has not been mentioned.
Who told you so?
So how does he become complicit?
Who told you the president hasn't been mentioned? You didn't see President Akufo-Addo's house in JB being mentioned. You didn't. Who owns the house?
That.
So he wasn't mentioned.
I didn't see the portions where they said they had an
interaction. You didn't see portions where they said they reported corrupt Galamseyers to the president. And he said, I'll deal with it, and nothing was done in that matter. You didn't see that.
How does that make him
You didn't see a report being given to the president, and within 2 years, he decided not to act up on it. You didn't see that. You didn't see people sit on tape and say that the president, if you give the vice president $2.5 million, you get a free concession. You didn't hear that from people who were working at the presidency. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear the president's nephew being said that he has called people on a number of occasions to allow that people should mine in forest reserves.
It was a lawyer.
The president's
nephew.
Oh no, but if you are acting as a lawyer, you act for your client in good faith. And so if your client is wrong, you tell your client is wrong. In this particular matter, the lawyer knew that the president had issued a ban on mining in forest reserves. Yet he decided to call the committee and question them why they were sacking people from that particular forest. You didn't know that it was the president's nephew who was engaged in this. I have said that, look, this matter, we'll get to the bottom of it. Mr. Glover may decide to agree to a bipartisan investigation into this matter or not. But so long as the NDC survives and the NDC is concerned in this matter, we will have a bipartisan.
I don't understand. You mean that if
we have had before, where the health minister, if you remember, under the Sputnik V vaccine procurement, Al Maktoum was asked after he was the health minister was indicted before the committee, a bipartisan committee. Al Maktoum was asked to refund $2.5 million. You remember, we have realized that that is the only way to get to the bottom of corrupt practices in this country. And President Akufo-Addo, this will be a test case. He won't escape this particular matter. You cannot destroy our water bodies and go free. You cannot destroy our forest reserves and go free. I have given you instances where the president appears unconcerned about this fight against illegal mining. I've given you instances where the president's family members are being named, are being mentioned. The president, people surrounding the presidency are being mentioned and named in this particular matter, and yet the president appears unconcerned. And Mr. Glover thinks that, okay, President Mahama was investigated and exonerated, so this person, I mean, we won't belittle this matter. This is a serious matter. Look, reading through Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, what shocked me was even the 500 missing excavators that could not be accounted for. I wept when I read that portion. And in fact, even in the tape you played, he repeated it. He explained how 500 excavators, people were selling them. People at the presidency. He named people of the MPP, someone like Eko Usi, someone like Charles Owusu, who were deployed to come and assist the committee. People from the presidency were selling excavators. He narrated how his own secretary, Charles Bisiu, if you remember, in fact, that one we saw Edgar Fili Gadochi, counting bundles of money, tasting saliva, and counting corrupt money. This was a secretary to the ministerial committee. This was a presidential staffer working at the presidency. And President Akufo-Addo sat unconcerned. And you think he doesn't know anything about these bundles that were being counted? You think he doesn't know anything about the bulldozers and excavators that are being used in these forest reserves and mining sectors?
He closed his eye over them.
If you put pieces of circumstances together, you would arrive at no other conclusion than to conclude that President Akufo-Addo himself is a Galamsey kingpin, to arrive at the fact that Dr. Bawumia himself is a Galamsey kingpin, to arrive at the fact that someone like Charles Nitegu at presidential staffer is a Galamsey mafia, to arrive at no other conclusion that someone like Gabi Ochredako is a Galamsey mafia, to arrive at no other conclusion that someone like Lord Comey and Captain Koda are Galamsey kingpins, and they will never be exonerated in this matter. We will get to the bottom of it. A bipartisan approach is the way to go, and we will stand by it to our last blood, because this has to do with our forests, this has to do with our water bodies, this has to do with our environments, and no amount of intimidation in this particular matter will allow us backslide.
Roland,
yes, sir.
This revolutionary traits is not going to scare anybody.
Who is the revolutionary?
The way he's speaking like revolution kidder.
Like Roland.
You are not concerned about our forest reserves.
Can I speak? When you were talking, I was quiet.
You cannot address
so
me,
please,
and
please.
You expect me to
You
be
have
quiet.
said all that you want to say. So please,
relax.
give me some respect. When you are talking and issuing tantrums, I'm here. So I beg you. Just calm down. I'm saying, please. You're also addressing the public. You're attacking the president. So what is the problem? I don't like that.
You don't like it when I tell you the president.
Okay.
So what is all this? What is all this?
Okay, please.
This interjection.
Malik,
and I'm saying that this will not deter the fight by the government and the president on Galamsey.
Is the president fighting Galamsey?
He is fighting Galamsey.
How
please.
is he doing that, sir?
Excuse my language. He's sitting here and he's accusing the president and the vice president of directly involving Galamsey. And you take this as an evidence and fact.
He says by lack of action.
Please. You tell this to the Marines. The president is not involving himself, neither is vice president, in Galamsey fight. If somebody has gone to sit somewhere and is being secretly recorded, and because of that you want to go to bed with it and run round with it, that is your problem. I will continue to say, and it is not different from the position of the president, fighting Galamsey, it is not one man's business. You were in government.
What?
You were in government. Galamsey, did it start in our time?
Are you saying that the state of the rivers are because the NDC is in opposition and so they are perpetuating this?
Roland, in the days of His Excellency Professor Mills, may he so rest in peace, my senior, Collins Dowda, was the Minister for Lands and Forestry. Then came to my senior, Inusa Fuseni. Were they able to fight Galamsey? No. Under John Mahama, did you fight Galamsey? But in our time, it has become topical because people have the nerves and the courage to be doing this. It does not mean that we should raise our hand in despair.
That we're taking.
Do you understand? Well. Yes, we'll continue to engage and to make sure we'll clear the people out. Yet,
is this
people
clear?
go.
Is this a clear out?
Please.
The water bodies have become undrinkable.
Look, go back and see. Go back and see when they went back the second time,
yes,
and see what has been done.
Since then, the water levels
Roland,
and then their level of purity has deteriorated.
I agree.
So
we will not sit down and say that because the environment is being destroyed, the government led by Akufo-Addo should sit down and do nothing.
But is it not true that the president is turning a blind eye?
Not at all. Not at all. So can't you see our army, the soldiers all over the place, driving people, working in the night?
Professor Frimpong Boateng says that's just a charade.
Professor Frimpong Boateng, it's unfortunate that this thing is happening. He was asked to lead a task force, and the task force that he led, I was not part of it. And excuse my language, the way you even accuse Charles BCO, I thought the police had exonerated him.
Yes, he has.
So you sit here and you attack the gentleman that is being corrupt for counting money with saliva. Where is this coming from? That is beside the point.
You were on Frimpong Boateng.
Yes. So the point is that Frimpong Boateng has come to do his bit. He's gone.
Okay.
The work is still on hand to be done. So nobody should think that the zeal and the tenacity at which government want to fight Galamsey has been stopped.
Do you see commitment?
I see a light at the end of the tunnel that this Galamsey fight, we are not going to end it now, but definitely there will be success. At least we should commend him for little effort that he has done.
We are seeing distraction.
Please, this did not start from day one. This did not start from day one. And anybody who is involved, for me, if he's prosecuted, I will support it.
Yeah, we do agree with your position.
I will support it. Anybody
but your position is not the same position as the president and his government.
But the president has referred to the police CID.
That's what.
How long did it take CHRAJ to finish the report? Is it not from 2019? How long did it take? Yesterday, I was watching Alfred's Ghana Tonight. It took them. I saw Joseph
Symphony Limited.
Absolutely, from 2019. So the police must be encouraged to speed up with the investigation. The president cannot investigate the Galamsey. He needs to refer it to the appropriate body to go and do the investigation for him. So anybody who is involved, make sure we deal with according to the law. And that is the only matter that will settle this Galamsey.
Mr. Titus Glover, if you, let's say you work in civil society, Tashwo, you're not working in civil society, you work with, you're a politician, so, but you were working in civil society or you were in the opposition, you were seeing this, you say that this is a good way to manage a Galamsey activity.
Roland,
or get rid of it.
I will repeat again that the level of destruction that we're all seeing on your cameras is not the best way to go. And I will say again, Galamsey fight is not a one-man business. It involves everybody, from government to chiefs, you media, civil society. Everybody must get his shoulder behind the wheel and make sure we fight this canker collectively. But where you want to pretend as if you are a saint, because you are in opposition, in your time, you run away from responsibility. Somebody is fighting. In
opposition, we didn't see pictures like
you didn't see, because the media was not active at the time. The media, because it is you, the media who has brought this.
That worked for the opposition, for the opposition to be voted into power.
Please, it is because the media at the time were not so forceful the way you are doing. So it is the duty of government to fight it, and we are fighting the Galamsey. For me, I would tell the president not to go to sleep. All those around him in the presidency who are making his work difficult, and all the attacks are coming to him because they are sitting in the comfort of their beds. And the arsenal is going directly on the president and the vice president. He must shake himself and make sure anybody who has a hand in this thing is dealt with. Because I'm not comfortable the way he's been attacked by Malik and the NDC all over the place. But I can assure you, President Nana Addo is not sleeping. He will make sure that the fight of the Galamsey will not be handled by himself. Everybody must support him to fight the Galamsey menace.
They say you are just accusing wrongly.
Yeah, so if
and that the president is committed.
Right, if Mr. Glover is calling that people who have been mentioned or people who have been named must be investigated, I want to ask him, the bulldozer and the excavator that was being used to mine in the president's garden in his house, who should be investigated in that particular
I
I want to know who should be investigated.
Is it a fact?
If your house If I come to your house and I find
the
a gun.
The report has been with the president.
I mean, for 2 years, he's not said anything about it.
If not because Kevin Taylor decided to leak it, we wouldn't have known. We would have been sitting there.
I come to your house and I find a gun. I come to your house and I find a gun.
When you go to Chebi, where the president resides, there are houses around him. And how did they enter with the excavator?
That should shock you. And that's to tell you that the man knows about it.
I disagree with what you're saying.
It should shock you.
Did you go to your cameras to know what I'm talking about?
I come to your house and I find a gun.
This is a propaganda, something they want to spill out.
So number one.
You mean Frimpong Boat is doing propaganda?
What I'm saying is that for like Galamsey, those houses around the president's house. Let's go and find out.
Professor Frimpong Boat put this in the report.
And that is propaganda.
He handed it over to the chief of staff. The president has access to it for 2 years.
Galamsey was sent to the president's backyard.
He's guarding his house. Look, Roland.
Please don't lighten the matter. We have 36 pages of a report.
I can understand. I can understand how he's shocked because he's surprised that will happen in broad daylight. Look, he's tried drawing a comparison and saying that under the NDC there was Galamsey and what have you. Okay, yes, I agree that there was Galamsey under the NDC. But did you ever hear a single report where President Mohammed's name was mentioned in his involvement in Galamsey? Did you ever hear a single expose where President Mohammed's name was mentioned to know something about any Galamsey activity anywhere? But under President Akufo-Addo, every day the man's name is being mentioned. Every day, to the extent that his own garden, a bulldozer is there doing a Galamsey. Number two, did you ever hear that during the era of the NDC, 500 excavators got missing, were sold like granules? Did you ever hear that excavators were being sold and shared to party apparatchiks like granules? If Mr. Glover would care to know, you didn't lose Galamsey sites because you were fighting Galamsey, or Galamsey areas because you were fighting Galamsey. You lost Galamsey areas because the indigents felt that government officials, the presidency, was seizing their concessions and rather engaging in illegal mining in those areas. And I cited in Churubuase, where even Captain Mahama, Major Mahama, was sadly, gruesomely murdered. I cited. In Frimpong Boaten's report, he stated that the company was engaged in illegal activity there.
That became Heritage Mining.
Absolutely, yeah. Heritage, whatever.
Mining.
Heritage Mining Limited. That was from CNJ Alaska to Heritage Mining Limited. And as a result of that, the people got angry and decided to attack the company and attack them on several occasions. So you lost Galamsey areas because the presidency, President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia, they were sitting in Accra and they were seizing the people's concessions, and people, government officials, the presidency was rather engaged in illegal activity there, and so the people got angry. Look, I'm struggling to understand the defense of Mr. Glover in this particular matter. I'm struggling because the man has given a comprehensive report. He's mentioned names. He hasn't said the presidency. He said Lord Comey. He said Captain Koda. He said Charles Nite Kutego. He said he's mentioned names of people we know, people the presidency know, the president's boys. Okay, if the president decides that he doesn't even know any of these tappers, how about Gabriel Ochodako? That is his nephew, they stay in the same house, they sleep and wake up. How about an excavator that was being used in his house in Chebi? He's mentioned names, he's indicted people. He's repeatedly named a lot of people. Okay, if we want to put Professor Frimpong Boaten's report even aside, how about the gold mafia? How about Alistair Matthias, stating that President Akufo-Addo is his close friend? At some point, he was even his lawyer. And
the official response from the presidency is that
migrates.
He was just huffing him. He was just bluffing.
Oh, he was bluffing. What investigation has been conducted?
He wanted to look big.
So if you know he wanted to look big, subject it to a bipartisan investigation. Let them investigate it. If you want to be exonerated, if you think your hands are clean, subject yourself to an investigation body. Let us see, let us watch, let us hear you defend your case. That is how we'll be able to arrive. But you cannot keep running away from investigations. You cannot keep running away from committees, and then you end up writing a statement and say, oh, he was only yobbing, or he didn't know what he was talking about. Please, we won't allow this to go down the drains. I have stated that I want our water bodies to be clean again in this country. I want our forest reserves to be restocked in this country. And we cannot have a man who pretentiously said he will put his presidency on the line because of Galamsey, rather being involved in the activity and runs away from any investigation that is going to be conducted in this particular activity. We won't allow that to go down the drains. And my surprise is Dr. Bawumia. Where did he learn Galamsey? widows from the north. How many Galamsey sites are around there? So I'm surprised that all of a sudden Alhaji Bawumia will be involved in Galamsey to the extent that he's even collecting 2.5 million. Hey, what do you know, Alhaji Bawumia? What do you know about Galamsey? Galamsey, it's in the coastal. President Akufo-Addo, yes, he knows Galamsey. He lives in a community. They do it. The eastern region, they are Galamsey side. The man is involved in it. He's been part and parcel of that process. But my surprise is how Dr. Bawumia has finally learned so much about Galamsey to the extent that he even knows how to collect $2.5 million from Galamseyers. And Charles Odibuahin was confident to say it. I'm surprised that Alhaji Bawumia is involved in these actions and these illegal activities. No. Our presidency cannot be mandated this way. It cannot be thwarted. It cannot, I beg your pardon, it cannot be bastardized. No, I beg your, it cannot be bastardized. It cannot be denigrated. It cannot be desecrated. We won't allow them to muddy it.
You are borrowing from Mustafa Hamid.
Or else we will wake up and from the president's backyard, the Flagstaff House, there will be an excavator there that would be engaged in illegal activity at the presidency. We won't allow this to go down the drains. And we,
Can I bring the water?
Roland,
all right.
Can I have my share, please?
Yeah, please. Just 2 minutes and I'll go for it.
You can't give me 2 minutes. He went
no, I'll give
on
it 2
high
minutes.
speed.
I'll give him the 2 minutes.
Dr. Bawumia, His Excellency, is not involving himself in Galamsey. So if you want to tag him with Galamsey and corruption, please, will you allow me to speak?
You keep defending everyone.
What is going to behavior is this?
Allow him. When you are,
I can be radical.
You can make
No. Malik,
don't think that.
No. Please.
Nobody has.
Tell him when he's talking, I'm quiet. What kind of behavior is this?
Yes, fine.
If you're not tolerant, don't come to the show. He sits here, you attack the president and the vice president. Did you see that the Galamsey?
Oh, Malik, that's okay.
You respect your mama and you derogate Akufo-Addo and what do you call it, vice president. Did you see the vice president involved in Galamsey? Did you see President Akufo-Addo directly involved in Galamsey? What do you mean?
He says by implicit.
But what kind of implicit?
Looking away.
You sit there, you clang all kinds of things. And you say we should just allow that? That is not my style. With the greatest respect to your viewers. I don't like the way he's behaving. President Nanado, you know the way I talk. When he's talking, I'm quiet. So warn him.
Oh.
I don't like that.
You are co-partner.
I am saying, and I repeat, the vice president attack will not wash because he doesn't do Galamsey. He has not involved Galamsey. He has not collected $5.1 million. And I will repeat myself. The Galamsey fight is not one man's fight. If you want to run route and run politics with it, that is your problem.
How is this political?
So please, you had your turn as government. What did you do in the fight against Galamsey? You have what do you call it? A presumptive leader moving around. Can I even give you a statement? What do you call it? A policy statement. All he's saying is making mockery of Akufo-Addo and all that. You said you've been what? You've been an assemblyman.
All of a sudden,
please.
NDC and Jomama are the culprits.
He's here. He's attacking the vice president and the president.
The president put
he has been an assemblyman. He has been an MP for 12 years. He has been a deputy minister. He has been a minister. He has been a vice president, acting president. He has been a president, and now what? He should tell us.
Why are you undertaking arguments of equalization?
No, please. I will not sit down for him to denigrate and attack the president.
That's why the NDC was voted out.
It doesn't matter because so long as that is their candidate and want to attack Dr. Bawumia, I will not sit here to allow him to go on
to the substantive.
So I am speaking.
A 36-page report. So please, has been
I have told you
on the desk of the president for 2 years.
Are you a third discussant?
No, I'm asking you a question.
Allow me to
so speak to the issue.
I am speaking to the issue, but let me also tell him that your mama is not a substitute to this country, and let him know. But let me say,
but your mama is not appealing for argument.
He was in government. What did he do to fight Galamsey?
But we haven't even mentioned your mama.
I will mention his name because he has mentioned Bawumia's name and President Akufo-Addo's name.
What kind of argument?
What kind of argument are you saying? So the Galamsey fight is not one man business.
Please, did you read the report?
Please,
I'm asking, did you read the report?
Galamsey fight, even if I haven't read it, we are seeing it on video. Okay. The level of destruction. So there's a section in the report. Please, there's a section in the report that says Professor Frimpong Boateng convened a meeting, and in attendance was the late Kojo Owusu-Efriye, Sir John, who was the Forestry Commission CEO. And according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, who at the time was the minister for the sector, he said he averted the president's mind to the issues and the illegal activities that were being undertaken, and particularly pointed out
about the actions of Sir John, among many others. He said the president only said he will look into it.
Sir John is
How
dead.
would you describe that posture of the president?
Sir John is dead and gone. We are confronted with what we see, what is being done, what is in our hands. So let's leave the dead man to rest in his grave. There's a problem on hand. How do we collectively fight the menace of Galamsey? I have said time and number. Galamsey is not one-man business. It involves all of us. Yes, it is in the time of President Akufo-Addo that we are seeing more of this Galamsey being done. But effort is being done.
Where's the effort?
Not sit down.
All our river bodies are destroyed.
Please,
so where's the effort?
Please.
People can see that they are destroyed. Where's the effort, sir?
So are you saying that we should stand aloof and say...
The president should admit they are concerned
but
that...
the president has admitted...
Shouldn't the president admit that he has failed?
What do you mean
as far as the Galamsey fight is concerned?
He has not failed. That should rather encourage him to fight more.
Since 2017.
I'm telling you, that should rather encourage him together with all the team around him and people.
Have you read the report?
Please, I haven't read the report. I'm confronted with what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Media bring the topics out. We'll discuss.
Please read the report. Let me push it to you.
No, please. I'm talking. Don't interject me. So what I'm saying is that the issue we have in our hand, the president cannot say that he has failed. He sees it as a challenge, and this challenge must be fight head on. That's why you must encourage him and give him to fight harder, to make sure we fight the issue about Galamsey. Why do you have to say that he has failed? That's why you should go to sleep. Not at all. I would rather encourage him that Mr. President, fight on. Those who want to make politics, when in 2020 elections, they'll go to the Galamsey area and tell the people, go, do the Galamsey and vote for Joe Mama. When you can't, we'll allow you to do it.
Do you think that the way you're communicating in relation to how the president has acted and his commitment and his government's commitment towards the fight against Galamsey, perhaps is apt for public?
Roland, are you in this studio?
Yes, please.
So what I'm talking, are you saying it's not? It's
because you are saying that everything is fine.
Did I say that? Are you here?
I'm here.
Did you listen to what I said?
The president is fighting.
But you are saying that I should admit that the president has failed.
No, I haven't said that.
You said so.
No.
Because you're a third discussion. You said the president should admit that he has failed. And I'm telling you.
Do you think the president has succeeded?
So I'm telling you that the challenges in the Galamsey should not discourage the president from fighting on Galamsey. It means that he must stand up and keep pushing. Because one person cannot fight Galamsey. And you want him to say that because he's the president, so he alone should face the challenge? No. So all that I'm saying is that, please, with all due respect to our viewers, we need everybody. The media, you've been so fantastic.
The president had everybody, everybody.
So Roland,
are you
saying that?
Or is that not so? Please, I've pushed the report to you.
You understand? So Roland,
because the president put his presidency on the line. That's
please, Roland, with all due respect.
Yes, please.
And let me repeat myself. And listen to me good. President Akufo-Addo sees the Galamsey fight as not his fight. It is not his only fight. This fight will involve all of us. Yes, the vegetation is being destroyed. Yes, the water body is being destroyed. So does it mean that he should not do anything about it? He hasn't said so. And all those have said, whose name has been mentioned, when the committee of inquiry, whether a bipartisan, whether the police investigation, all those whose names have been mentioned in the Frimpong Boate's report, they will be invited. So whatever they know about this Galamsey destruction of environment, wouldn't they be questioned? Yes, they would. So clearly, I don't see the rush to allow the investigative bodies for them to do their work. And I've told you, the gentleman who took Frimpong Boate into CHRAJ, he took CHRAJ how many years? From 2019, 3 years. We're in 2023, about 4 years. They've just concluded with their report. So I want to appeal to the police, the IGP, and the CID team. They should speed up, because the president has referred this Galamsey thing to them, so that we'll be able to ascertain the veracity of those who have involved. As for the destruction, we are seeing it.
But it's in the report.
We should, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
They work with the president.
So we will not sit down and say that there's nothing.
The CID just straight away write it.
Write what?
Roland, you see, I'm really not worried when Mr. Glover mentions President Mohammed's name. Even if it's 100 times. You know why? Because Mr. Glover is not an anti-corruption agency.
My name is
Mr. Titus Glover is not a gold mafia. so I will not be worried. But I'm worried when Alistair Matthias, a gold mafia, a money launderer, a criminal, a gold smuggler, mentions President Akufo-Addo's name and says he's my friend, my close friend. I'm worried, and I need to be worried. I'm worried when an expose in Anas number 12 mentions President Akufo-Addo's name to be in Anas's packet, my president, in somebody's packet, because of $3 million. I'm worried. I'm worried when Galamsey Economy captures my vice president, Alhaji Bawumia, taking a sum of about $2.5 million because of Galamsey. I'm worried. I'm worried. When the appointee of the president, Professor Frimpong Boateng, gives a report indicting people of the presidency and mentioning the president's name, I'm worried. Why is it that it is only in illegal acts? It is only in corrupt exposés. It is only in Galamsey reports that President Akufo-Addo's name will be the head. Dr. Bawumia will appear in it.
Well,
and people of the presidency will line up in that report.
Media investigations.
Why is it that you have two people and the man you attempt playing a comparison with, when you mention schools, you hear President Mahama. When you mention hospitals, you hear President Mahama. When you mention roads, you hear President Mahama. But when you mention Galamsey, Akufo-Addo 1. When you mention corruption, Akufo-Addo 2. Why? And this is the kind of comparison you want us to do. And we mention him, and Mr. Glover, you act like... Mr. Titus Glover, you act like, not to attack you, but I mean, like a witch that has been surrounded by Holy Ghost fire. I mean, we will continue to mention President Akufo-Addo's name in this matter. We will continue to mention Dr. Bawumia until they repent. And I agree with Mr. Glover. He's my senior brother. When he says it is an everybody's fight, and we need to all fight it. Mr. Glover, we have all dedicated our lives in fighting Galamsey, and we'll continue to do that. And I will continue to fight it. But one man is making the work difficult. Who? And that man is President Akufo-Addo. Oh. He needs to soften the work for us. He needs to leave the Galamsey sides. He needs to disband his Galamsey forces and allow you, the media, allow we, the opposition parties, do our work. And the first of such works is a bipartisan approach in this investigation. So if Mr. Glover wants all of us to come together, because you cannot have a free-for-all Galamsey fight and want us to have a free-for-all anti-Galamsey fight, it won't work. Those engaged in that free-for-all Galamsey fight are people of the presidency led by President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. We, those engaged in the free-for-all anti-Galamsey fight, are opposition members, media men, and ordinary people. And so if the president wants us to have trust that he has repented from his old ways, he should ensure that we have a bipartisan approach.
He keeps saying that. What has the president done? Is it by inference, the commitment?
You see, Mr. Glover asked you a question.
No, that's okay. That's
okay. Let him ask.
Yes, sir. Please wrap up.
It looks as if Malik will not stop his continuous attack on the president, even though I've said any time. He's not corrupt, and I repeat, together with the vice president. You cannot sit here and assume that because his name has been mentioned by somebody sitting somewhere, being recorded, then you lump him as being corrupt. We are here. Your mama was so cheap that you took a Ford, what do you call it, Explorer. They passed it through the border in Burkina, Paga.
And he was investigated.
Please.
He was exonerated.
Oh, please. So you can throw punch, but you can't receive punch because you have mouth. So you could not even tell anybody. You sneak into the country. And you say what? You are clean? You remember Amajaro? You remember Amajaro? So you think your mama is as clean as snow? Don't let it even go there. There is no amount of attacks, corrupt attack, that you try to lump the president and the vice president, that wash. I concede that the fight against Galamsey has been Herculean. I concede that some names have been mentioned in people around His Excellency the President. I also concede that when this matter came before the president,
many names.
I have no problem. His Excellency the President has referred to the police. That is the forum and the platform that will help the president in decision taking. And that one to the president has aired.
So everything the president just puts it to CID.
But can he investigate himself, Roland Walker, and Malik Basim Tali? Can the president investigate himself? The only thing he can do religiously is to refer to the appropriate body to do the investigation for him. That will enable him to take the decision. This one too, you are impatient and you attack him and you're calling all names. I want to encourage the president. He should not see the Galamsey fight as an easy fight. Knowing him as a strong person, this should rather encourage him. If you think that members of his team are found wanting, he should pull them out and put the right people in the front line.
Simply not that he thinks.
You understand?
There have been
And put them out.
That shows that he
and
needed to
knowing him with this fighting spirit and fight this Galamsey fight. For me, we have not finished the fight against Galamsey. It is quite big, and those involved and all that. Those ordinary people who are collecting the sand and throwing and all those things, they are just laborers. But the real people are there.
They are with the president, according to.
They should deal with them.
So
because all these attacks is coming to. You think it is easy coming here to defend?
That's why I'm surprised how you are shielding all this.
I'm not shielding.
You are doing well.
I'm not shielding. But I know the president is doing his best together with the vice president. So you, Basintale, and you and your mama and all your people, if you think you can attack the president and the vice president, that will not wash. We have a problem in our hand. In your time, what did you do to fight Galamsey?
All right. We have to end the discussion soon. But there's news that's coming. Malik, we've ended the... because this one, it hasn't... the news has not closed on it. It's a running story.
Absolutely.
It's a running... So relax.
And that is why I wanted to assure Mr.
Malik,
I assured your mama.
We are not ending
Go and assure your mama and your NDC.
I can assure you that we are not ending it. But the first to demonstrate it is going to be that bipartisan investigation into that matter. And it will surely come to pass. And that's going to be the beginning of NDC's fights now against President Akufo-Addo and his Galamsey mafia and kingpins.
There's a letter dated the 25th of April.
From where?
From the president. Appointment of new Chief Justice of the Republic. And he says, I decided to begin the process of the appointment now. Article 1441 of the Constitution, which governs the appointment of the Chief Justice, requires that I first consult with the Council of State before seeking the approval of Parliament. Consequently, I'm nominating Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Tokono, a member of the Supreme Court, as the new Chief Justice. And so the President is sending this to the chairperson of the Council of State, Nana Otuo Serebo II. So we have nominated for the position of Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Tokono.
I congratulate leadership for this new role. I was privileged to vet her when she was nominated into the Supreme Court. And from her track record as a practicing lawyer, then through the junior courts, all the way to the High Court and Appeal Court, and to the Supreme Court, she has really distinguished herself so well. This is the 10th Chief Justice we've had in the Fourth Republic, i.e.
You mean
Lady Chief Justice, what's her name?
My
mother,
Georgina
Wood. Then
Bamford Addo.
Bamford Addo wasn't the Chief Justice. She was a member of the Supreme Court, but not the Chief Justice, until she was made the Speaker of Parliament. Then Sophia Kufu. And until now, it's Madame Gertrude. We wish her all the best, and the President believes in affirmism that will give him women more role to play in the governance of this country. So I believe that when Parliament resumes, she'll be subjected through the vetting process, and at the end of the day, take over office as. So
you believe that she
can deliver? She can deliver. I wish her all the best.
People thought that Yoni Kulendi could have also.
Well, he did not get, and the opportunity has called to. Yoni is quite good. All of them, in fact, all of them at the bench, the Supreme Court are qualifying to be the Chief Justice, but there'll be only one person. So I wish her all the best.
Roland, all I will say is that she shouldn't repeat the mistakes of her predecessors. When she gets the nod, she should lift the torch of the nation high, above every politician, including her appointer. And she should subject herself to the full laws of this country in implementing them as well. and ensuring that where she's supposed to whip, she whips, and where she's supposed to protect, she protects. It should be higher than her appointer, and this may make her the best. I wish her well.
Malik Basintale is a Deputy Communication Officer for the NDC. Former Tema East Member of Parliament, Daniel Ni Kwate Titus Glover. He was also a former Deputy Minister of Transport, but currently a Deputy Managing Director for Valco. And he has to be going. He has some other important issues to attend to. But let me just read a couple of your messages. For a fish to rot, it starts from the head. Titus Glover should agree that the president is to blame, and that's from Tio Adai. Now, Tio Adai, well, we also have this one from... okay, so I have this one. It says, today, Titus has surprised me. Seriously, no amount of legalities and justification can repair our environment. And then we have from Dr. Park, Honorable Glover's argument do not make the issues well articulated. Is it the NDC who also told those listed in the Frimpong Boateng report to do Galamsey? And those are some of your comments as well. Well, so we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll also tell you what's going on with the toll booths just around Kaswa, because Bella is there, and also bring you the latest posts and then the latest in entertainment. Stick and stay.